Alright guys, let's do this! So we have to figure out if these are either even or odd, and if they're not either one, then they're neither. And so if you flip back to your notes on the very opposite side of this page, I was telling you sort of rushed at the last minute that it's even, oop, whoops, it helps if I actually select the marker, it's even if I can substitute in negative x in place of the x, and I still get the same y value. I still get f of x. So I substitute in negative x and I still get y. And it's odd, and we'll do one of those in a second and it'll make more sense. And it's odd if I substitute in negative x and I get negative y. Okay. Alright, so we're going to substitute in negative x and see what happens. So on this first one, I'm going to substitute in negative x for all the x's. And then I simplify. And I go, let's see. Well, if I raise to the 5th power and I have a negative, it's still going to be negative. And of course this is just negative. Actually, let's write it as minus. And then I have the option, of course, of pulling out the negative. And then I take a look at how that compares with the original function. And I go, oh, wow, let's see. It looks almost exactly like the original function, except it has a negative sign. In other words, this is negative f of x. Oh, ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. This one's odd. Okay. And we're going to repeat the process for the next one after I erase all this mess. Okay, so again, I'm going to substitute in negative x for all the x's. And when I simplify this time, that's going to turn into back to x to the 4th, which looks exactly like the original. So what I've just found out is that g of negative x is equal to g of x. And when that happens, it's even. Yay! And the crowd cheers. Okay, try letter C by yourself. I'm going to work it out. Pause the video, and then you can check your work afterwards. Go! Is that what you got? Is that what you got? So notice I got to pull that negative out, but then it's not negative of the original, and it's certainly not the original, so it's neither. Yay! Okay. Now we're looking at finding the domain for the functions. So if you remember, on the back side of this page, I told you that for square roots, you needed to make sure that you didn't have a negative underneath the radical. So if I can't have a negative underneath that radical, then that means whatever's under there must be positive. And we talked in class about how saying greater than 0 is the way of saying must be positive. So I'm going to solve that and get x is greater than, now it could be 0 in there. I can take square root of 0, I just can't take square root of a negative. So I get x is greater than or equal to negative 3/2. And so in interval notation, you should write what? Did you get it? Did you get it? I know we went over this in class today, so I bet everybody did. Okay, letter B is a rational polynomial, so the issues where that is the denominator can't be 0. So it's kind of like when your mom tells you not to do something and you wait till she's not looking and then you do it. Okay, denominator can't be 0. So you say, fine, I'm going to make the denominator be 0, Torres, just because you told me not to. And so now we're going to see what numbers make that 0. So I'm going to try to factor it. You should too. Pause the video, try to factor. Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? And then when I finish solving, I get, did you get those? Did you get those? Did you get those? Okay, so now these are the numbers that x really can't be. So I'm going to make a number line and plunk those on it, and it's going to look like that. And now I've got to start testing sections and see what works and what doesn't. Just kidding. I don't have to test. It's not an inequality. Everything works except for, oops, I didn't mean to erase, except for those numbers. So all of this works, all of this works, all of this works, everything except those no-no numbers. So the interval looks like that. Everything except the no-no numbers. 3 separate sections. And the crowd goes wild.